Good morning. It is Friday. Okay, so today we're doing multi-step equations for algebra. And again, this is something you've already done before. So let's start out with the steps in solving multi-step equations. So yesterday it was just a one step. So you were adding or subtracting, multiplying or dividing to get with your inverse operations to get your solutions. So today we're going to step it up. We're moving it up to a multi-step equations. So every single time you need to make sure you're always simplifying your equations by distributing or combining like terms. First thing. So it's basically simplifying the equation before you start using inverse operations. Next, you will undo addition or subtraction. Then you will undo multiplication or division. So in this first one, again, I'm going to start these, and if you want to stop, do these yourself and then go back and restart this to see if your answers checks out with mine. That's a great idea. So feel free to stop this at any time. So on this one, I'm solving for Q. So again, I don't even look at this side over here. So my first step says there's nothing to simplify, so I'm going to undo addition or subtraction. Since this is addition, I am going to subtract 11 from both sides. When I do so, the 11 cancels out, and I'm left with 2Q is equal to a negative 8. This is our next step. So 2 times Q. So to undo multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So Q equals negative 4. Again, make sure you have your calculators out. This next one, I am only looking at the side with the variable. So undo addition or subtraction first. So I'm going to undo that plus 7. The inverse is minus 7. Negative 5 take away 7 is negative 12. Is equal to, that cancels out, I'm going to bring my 6v down. This is multiplication, so to undo it, I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So v equals a negative 2. You can always check to make sure you did it correctly by saying 6 times negative 2. I'll just do it up here. So 6 times negative 2 plus 7, does it equal negative 5? So negative 12 plus 7 does equal negative 5. So we've checked it and we're ready to move on. This next one is a little different. The constant, or the 3, is in front, and that's a positive 3. So we need to get rid of undo, addition, or subtraction. This is not addition or subtraction. This is multiplication. This is a negative 5 times x. So we need to get rid of that 3 first. When I do so, I am left with a negative 5x, and sometimes you guys will tend to dismiss that negative 5x. So when you cancel out the 3, bring down that whole term, negative 5x. So 23 take away 3 is 20. Again, this is multiplication, so to undo it, I'm going to divide. And x is equal to a negative 4. This next one. Same thing, undo addition, subtraction, so I'm going to add 8. So n over 3 is equal to a positive 6. Since this is division, you could multiply both sides by 3, or you could think of this as a 1 here. And to get rid of a fraction, you just multiply by its reciprocal, so 3 over 1. Or just 3, and so n is equal to 18. Again, check your work. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 take away 8 is negative 2. Next one. Again, you kind of want to get rid of these constants, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Cancels out. I'm left with a negative h over 3. Don't lose that negative. Equals 17. And again, if it's helpful to put the 1 here to know that you're going to multiply by its reciprocal, negative 3 over 1, or just 3. So h is a negative 51. This one, subtract 6, subtract 6. I'm left with 2/3 g is equal to a negative 18. To get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, so 3 over 2, 3 over 2. Use your calculators, negative 18 by 3 ABC2, and you should get a negative 27. Again, stop the video and solve your own. These two are tricky, and they're just special cases. You can't really solve for x here because it's attached to all this other stuff. So on here, what you really need to do is get rid of the denominator. Since you're dividing by 12, I'm going to multiply by 12 to both sides to get rid of that denominator. So now we're left with x plus 9 is equal to negative 24. Now I can just subtract 9, and x is equal to a negative 33. This one here, same thing. To get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply this by 2 to both sides. This cancels out because it's really 2 over 1. So I'm left with 4 minus x equals 22. This one's a little trickier because we've got that constant in front. So I'm going to subtract that constant out and send it over here. I am left with a negative x equals 18. And I cannot have a negative variable. So remember, there's a negative 1 here. So I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 1. So x is equal to negative 18. All right, it just takes practice, 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 practice. This next section is a word problem. So what I'd really like for you to do is to try it on your own. So stop the recording, try to set this up on your own. The word each we need to add to our clue, and it means to multiply. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and write it. 12x plus 200 equals 644. My 200 is a flat fee. It's a base rate. It's never going to change. That's why we call it a constant. It's going to be constant. It is never going to change. This is going to change depending on how many albums he sells. So if you set it up like this, you're in good shape. Now all we have to do is subtract 200 from both sides. I'm left with 12x is equal to 444. Divide, and x equals 37. So he sold 37 albums. And that's kind of actually how they do that. Anyway, don't forget to do today's assignment and submit.